I can't see shit. I can't see shit. Oh my God. What's up guys, John here. I was actually in the middle of looking at a wiring diagram when something came to my mind, and it's something I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time. I'm a collector, I'm a gamer. Sometimes I shop around at my local game stores when I want to find a rare game or a game that I want to play, or if it's Friday and I'm getting off work and I want to have fun with the kid, I'll go grab a game that I don't have, and for Nintendo or Sega or something old. And since I have a lot of games already, one thing that I have to look at is I have to look at the authenticity of the product that I'm buying. And I'm not talking about just people on the street or people online. I'm talking about from your local game stores as well. Now, I am fortunate that the people that I shop, or the people's shops that I shop at, they'll tell me, if something's a repro. And because guys, there's a lot of really well-made repros out there now. But I had an experience recently at a game store out in Pennsylvania. It's actually it's a small chain. But, the guy pulled this game out of the case for me, and I was looking at it, and I knew right away that something wasn't right with it. The case was wrong. It was actually a Sega Mega Drive game. And he, as soon as he saw my face and saw me notice that the case was different, the guy was like, oh, well, that's a repro. Well, what if I had been a guy new to this hobby, or, what if I was a parent buying a gift for my kid or for a relative or whatever the case may be? What if I was the person on the receiving end of that product and I got a repro? And this wasn't like a couple of dollars. We're talking about they wanted like $50 for this repro. And I remember a month prior at the same location, I remember the game too. It was the Wily Wars. It was Mega Man The Wily Wars for Sega Genesis, which is a game that I don't think was ever released. I think it's like a ROM hack or something like that, and they only released it as a repro. If there's physical copies out there, they're not released by Sega. People made them. So I remember I saw that, the Wily Wars, and I was like, because the guy was, I was like, show me some Sega games, and show me something cool that I don't have, or I'm trying to like find out about some games so I could find something fun to play for the night. So the guy whips out Mega Man The Wily Wars. And a couple of minutes later, he tells me it's a reproduction, which I already knew that because I knew that game was never released. But here's the thing: they wanted $50 for that repro cart. Now, that game, a reproduction of that game, I could go on eBay or go online, and I'm talking about with a case and a manual, I can get that for less than $20. So we're talking about retro game stores that actually sell reproduction carts like it's no big deal. I don't know about you guys, but when I go to a retro game store, I'm not trying to buy a reproduction anything. I get it if there's a game that costs like several $1,000s or $500 or something crazy, and you just want to play that game on original hardware. I get it. I'm guilty of buying games that way too. I mean, for my PC Engine, I've bought some stuff from PCE Works that I think makes great reproductions, and they're not trying to fool anybody. The packaging says from PCE Works, So I'm not totally against it, but what I am against is these retro game stores that try to pawn off, unauthentic product as authentic. And that really sucks for the people that are getting, dipping their feet into this hobby or are new to this hobby or new to gaming, and they don't know any better because, in my opinion, that's somebody getting taken advantage of, and that's not right. And I'm totally against that. And when I see it, I call them out on it. I don't care if anyone's in the store. I'll ask them, how $50 or why are you even selling a reproduction? That's not cool. I feel like I feel like they shouldn't sell them at all, but I feel like if they are going to display something like that, they need a display that says reproduction carts, and they most certainly shouldn't be $50. I mean, you got 3 cents of material and you're trying to sell it for $50. I mean, come on, man. But anyway, I'm just going to show you guys, a couple of examples of what to look for. I actually don't have any reproduction carts, but I'm going to show you some original carts opened up. And I'm going to show you, some of the things that I've learned to look for over the years as far as branding and the label and things of that nature. So, nothing crazy, no crazy Neo Geo carts or, Atari Jaguar, or, anything like that. This is just like common, like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, like that kind of thing. So let's check it out. So the first thing that I noticed that comes to mind before I even open the cartridge is that most Game Boy Advance games, and I don't know about if it's all the unlicensed stuff, but at least the licensed stuff, it slides open. Another obvious thing you can look at is the label. Now, if the game has a perfect label for a game that's been used a bunch of times, you might want to take a look at that. And it's probably because the game is not new. It's a new repro, but it's not what you think it is. And the other thing to look at is always look at the font on the Nintendo logo with that big oval around it. Because if that is not right, that's a dead giveaway. Now, Sega is something I've been doing a lot more homework on, and it's something I've been buying a little bit more of recently now. For example, when I got my Castlevania Bloodline in the cardboard box, there was a big Made in Mexico sticker on the back of that cartridge, and it kind of concerned me. So that's when I learned about, where cartridges were manufactured and stuff like that. Now, mainly with Sega, what I come to find out is look at the board and look at the ROM chip. Other than the fact that if it's got a super crisp label, that might throw off some red flags. But if the board has Sega branding, or really look at the ROM chip should have Sega branding, or it'll have the name of the ROM on the ROM chip. Okay, so now the Super Nintendo, and this is the system that I think probably started the whole repro thing and people making fake cartridges and people trying to spot fake cartridges. But, the first thing you want to look at is the label, guys. If it's an old cartridge that's been played a million times, if that label's super crispy and those colors are super bright, it's probably fake. Now, the main thing that I know to look for is, the first thing is, look at I think it's the 3.8 millimeter security bits that they use. If it doesn't use that, that's a red flag. And also, I always look for the Nintendo branding on the board itself, It's usually always gold branding. It's got that oval. If the font's not right, and that goes for all the Nintendo stuff, or all the repros in general, if the font's not right, that's a super huge red flag, at least from my experience. That font's not right, or it doesn't have that oval going around it, or if it doesn't look like it matches up right, that's a huge red flag. So always check the Nintendo font on the board of the cartridge. All right, guys, so I hope this video helps, anybody that's getting into the hobby, or, there's a million videos out there, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there for what it's worth. Now, one important thing, if you go to a retro game store and they won't open the cartridge up for you, especially after you request to see the cartridge, if they won't open it up, that is a serious red flag. There's no reason why they shouldn't show you the board of that cartridge. If they try to say anything like, oh, well, it's going to damage the cartridge, or if they give you any kind of BS about why they can't show you the cartridge itself and open it up, that's probably because it's fake. Any reputable GameSpot will open that cartridge and they're happy to show it to you. And that's kind of one other thing is, I've been to game stores that when I asked for them to open the cartridge, they didn't tell me no, but they didn't even have the tools to do it. Christ, half the games I get that are used don't even work, and I got to clean the boards on them. If you're a business, how could you take used product, and especially video games, and not clean the cartridge for the customers? I could imagine that he probably gets quite a few returns with that kind of policy in place. But, that's it, guys. Hopefully this helps anybody that's wanting to get into the hobby or is new to gaming. And thanks for watching.
There's nothing that the eye can visualize.